for coming to our next panel at Console Room. Please give it up for Chris Jones.
Not again. Welcome.
Maybe it needs a woman's touch.
Hello. Hey, there we go. All right. Well, we'll figure this out as we go along. Let's get out on stage. Please welcome Console Room, Peter Davison and Nicola Bryant. I don't know how cold it is out there right now. Back here it is ridiculously freezing. On stage here is sort of in between a little bit. Yes, okay, we're all cold. We've agreed on that. We're all cold. So, my understanding of what's about to happen for the next hour is that we're going to be not doing anything like a full episode commentary, but driven by the fact that, contrary to popular belief, there is a limit to how many interviews you can do with the same people over the course of a 3-day convention. It's a crazy theory, right? We're going to be just looking at little short segments, bits and bobs of video, and sort of talking over it, talking through it. We're looking at it up here. You guys have it on the screen up there. If you're here sitting in the house, there should be audio. It's going to be a little low so that you can hear any comments over the top of it. For anyone watching live stream, audio is either going to be low or not there. But hopefully this is stuff that people mostly have seen. You're going to be more interested to hear whatever might be said by our charming guests. So that said, this is not a trivia contest. You are not expected to have thoroughly researched and thought out opinions, just reactions if it brings
This will be my main reaction. Oh, I don't remember this bit.
Well, we're starting out with a piece of high art that I don't know anything else in the history of Doctor Who has equaled. Let's take a look at Dimensions in Time. And yes, we realize you weren't in many of these bits. How long has it been since either of you have seen this?
Sam West.
Have I ever seen it?
Ever? Oh, goodness.
I don't know if I have. Sam West. Wow. Very young Sam West.
The EastEnders?
30th anniversary EastEnders crossover charity special event.
Yes.
Yes.
This made no sense at all.
No, it didn't.
Do you know what it was? This was all based on the idea that someone came up with this thing, that they could create a fake 3D image as long as the camera kept moving. So you'll notice it's a lot of the scenes, the cameraman is sort of walking around us.
Yes.
To make it look like it's 3D.
Because it wasn't the red and green lens 3D, it was a movement-based.
I have no idea what the logic of it was, really.
No. It was just the rubbish 3D.
How did they introduce the idea to either of you that you were being invited to participate in something for the 30th anniversary of Doctor Who, but logically it was a crossover with EastEnders?
Don't
we just
ask
did
me.
as we were told, really.
I mean, there are things there are things in life you should have said no to. Really, that's it.
Really. Yeah, it didn't really actually feel like an offer. It felt more like a command.
This wasn't the one that was. You know, there was at one point they were going to make a special, weren't they? Was that this then replaced because the thing that they'd written when it just starred Tom? And
I don't know.
Was that the same time?
Someone here knows the title of that project. Dark Dimension.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, okay.
I believe the concept of that was an alternate timeline where the Fourth Doctor hadn't regenerated.
Right, but was
and
that-
there'd be
was that-
cameos by the
Was
other.
it the same this time?
No,
Was it,
well,
it wasn't the 30th.
That was something that was being planned, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen, and
no.
they did this instead.
It didn't happen because they forgot to ask us.
Yeah.
They asked Tom, and then they wrote this script, and all the rest of us were in it a very tiny bit. And then they announced that we were all going to be doing it, and we said, "No, sorry, we're not."
So here's the Doctor. What do you remember about being Sylvester McCoy in this scene?
Is it slightly too fast or something? He looks a bit like Charlie Chaplin.
I don't know how much of that. This whole thing feels very much like they did a rehearsal and then said, "Can you do that all twice as fast?" It's all very...
Yes, it was very quick. But you see what I mean by the camera is moving all the time to give the illusion if you had the right glasses on.
Nobody looks like themselves. Everybody looks like someone's done some slightly weird prosthetic makeup on them. It's just a tiny bit that's odd that you're going, it looks like, but yet isn't.
It's honestly.
Well, and these time distortions are happening, and one incarnation of the Doctor and a companion get randomly replaced with another pair, or at one point, one character
And we
splits
only
into
stand
two.
still when we're talking to the EastEnders traders, but we have to keep moving. Oh, what's that? What was that?
We'll get to you two eventually.
Okay.
So as opposed to it being other actors on screen and something you don't remember, it'll be you two on screen and something you don't remember.
Right.
Yeah. Any minute. Oh, we just nicked an orange.
So was this was Colin the Doctor at this point?
No, this
Sylvester.
was
Sylvester.
the 30th anniversary. So this was the gap between
it was in the
the end of
hiatus.
Sylvester's run and
okay.
before the TV movie in '96. So Sylvester had even been out of the role for a few years at this point.
Don't you start.
Your tears is like this. Oh, Lord.
Now, I am not a follower of EastEnders. Did either of you appear on that show in any other capacity?
Do we have anything to do with it?
Yes.
No.
Okay. Well,
No.
you know, some of you have been in things that I haven't
We're
seen.
not completely mad. No, I don't know. It's probably fine to be in EastEnders, but the problem I had was a time when I grew up, soap operas consisted of a program called Crossroads, and so I was always told, don't go anywhere near a soap opera. Now, there were periods where certain soap operas were good, and probably EastEnders was not bad, but it was just, I always thought it was a dangerous thing to get into, really.
I swear you eventually show up in this.
Oh, look at the 80s hair there.
So many of these people, if they're still alive, are still in it. You know, people kept
They are,
leaving to
aren't they?
escape,
Yes.
and then they would
Then
end
they
up
come
going
back.
back.
Yeah.
Are we to assume that Elizabeth Sladen just still had that costume in her closet and brought it to the set?
You see, the cold camera work makes you dizzy, doesn't it?
I think I wear my own clothes in this. I think.
You wore your own clothes.
Yeah.
I can't
There's no
remember what
budget
I
for a
wore.
costume. I think it's probably because I said I'm not wearing those shorts again.
Hey!
Hey, there we are.
Now, how there's suddenly two companions, I have no idea.
What was I? Yeah.
What were you thinking in that moment, Peter?
Well, obviously, get me out of here.
Yes. Get off the set. Run.
With the spinning camera.
Who is that?
Dramamine should be available under your seats for those.
Yes.
Oh, my word.
This feels like an amusement park attraction where you walk through and there's just Doctor Who monsters leering at you out of windows.
Did I come all this way for you to torture me like this?
I think they just picked us as the ones that could run the most, so we just do all the running.
Why has the volume suddenly gone up? Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look.
And you're going, what?
Now you'll be excited to know that there is a part 2.
Oh,
no.
Oh, okay. You're not making us watch that as well, are you?
It was split into 2 segments, and I believe, if memory serves, I'm sure this audience will correct me if I'm wrong, when this aired as part of Comic Relief, there was a number that you could call to vote on which of 2 endings it would have.
There was, yeah.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
Either Mandy or Big Ron, who were both characters on EastEnders, one of them could play a pivotal role in the resolution of the story because that's what Doctor Who fans really cared about.
It would have been far better if they'd said one of these 2 will die. That would have got more
Preferably
votes.
both, but
Yeah.
And now, the thrilling conclusion.
Oh no. You're making us watch both episodes? I don't think there was anything in my contract to come here about torture.
That was thrown in as a bonus.
John Nathan Turner wrote it. It said by John Nathan Turner. Didn't I just do that? Look. Oh, I see. Oh, I see.
A very, very long journey.
Those are definitely my trousers. I know that.
What were you doing,
That's
Peter?
Exactly. No, I don't know, but it sums up how I was feeling.
Exactly.
When you would telepathically contact the other doctors like that, how did that feel?
Come on, we're the same person, don't you know that?
Oh, they obviously picked Mandy then.
By the way, who is still following the plot at this point?
I'm sorry, but I think under trades descriptions we can all agree there is no plot.
Oh, that was terrible.
That was very convincing, yes. Throw that plastic toy. Poor Kate. Poor Kate.
They didn't even let you drive Bessie around in this?
It's a lot of cape acting going by John. That's
Yes.
definitely not John running.
Yeah, that was John Pertwee, yes.
Suddenly he's got yellowy hair. Yes.
I have to compliment them for correcting the oversight of the 6th Doctor never having met the Brigadier. I'm sad that this is the best we got.
Yes.
But
Can't hear you, Colin.
And Sam West was a huge Doctor Who fan, so that was obviously making his wishes come true. It's Sam West, yeah.
Oh, God.
were you sad that this never got a sequel?
I think the word is relieved.
I think it ended John Nathan Turner's writing career anyway. One thing that puzzles me about this claim that you could vote to decide who took part in the ending is there was no gap for anyone to vote. So we never shot anything twice as far as I know.
No.
So I think they rigged it. I think there was only ever one ending with the person who's in it, the girl.
Yeah.
Saying.
Given that in all the years since, I don't believe anything from the other version has ever surfaced.
No, it's not. It was faked. It was rigged. So they knew exactly. Probably they had that sort of middle-aged bloke. They thought no one's going to vote for him. We'll just make it with the girl because they'll all vote for her.
Yeah.
And then they just made that one.
You heard it here. Take to the internet.
Yeah.
Spread the word far and wide.
It was all about raising money for charity. That's how we got roped in. It was raising money for charity.
Oh, was it raising money for charity?
Yes, it was all Red Nose Day.
I didn't even remember it was Children in Need.
while other people are on screen, I will ask, back when you were doing the series proper, did you have like the sonic screwdriver and the TARDIS key on you if they weren't needed in the scene, just to kind of feel like you were complete?
Oh, no, the properties department would take them off you.
Yes,
Because we couldn't be trusted. So we'd only be given the props we needed for any particular bit.
How unsurprising, but also disillusioning.
Besides which, when I started, because I lost the sonic screwdriver quite early, John wanted the idea that I had all sorts of things in my pocket. Like a cricket ball, a piece of string, and all. So and there was no way they'd all fit in there. So they were only ever taken out.
I think we're about at the end of it. So I think this is probably the last we've seen of either of you in this.
Is anyone following it so far?
Really, none of this made any sense. Oh, I'm sorry. There's the last glimpse.
Tom didn't do a lot in it, did he, really? I'm amazed that he even did anything for it.
Couple of decapitated Time Lords, yes.
That's not CGI, folks. That's...
Yeah.
So technically, Sylvester is the Doctor, then, isn't he?
Yes.
He was current in the sense that
He was
they
the
hadn't.
last Doctor.
No one had succeeded him, but this
replaced
was
him.
after the end of his run.
Yeah.
Right.
So that, thankfully, is the end of Dimensions in Time.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was a real treat.
Yeah.
Good. Yeah.
I'm not going to forget that.
Well, I hope you're all enjoying the last time either of these two visit this fine convention. All right, I believe the next thing we have is not a complete thing, but something probably a little more coherent, even as a clip. We're going to have some of the last moments from episode 4 of Planet of Fire.
Oh, Planet of Fire. Oh, right. Oh, this is great. See what have I got?
So Turlough's departure and the introduction of Perpigillion Brown.
Gosh, we're so slim. Look at us.
Well, you missed the best bit of the introduction of Perpigillion Brown because you missed the all the naked German sunbathers going in and trying to save her life.
Yeah.
Because we filmed that, the first bit, the beach scene, on a nudist beach.
Yeah.
John Nathan Turner had found this beach that was deserted only because the nudists hadn't turned up yet. And then when they turned up, we were just surrounded by naked, well, mostly men, actually.
Yeah,
but then, you should be telling this, really, but Nicola had to jump off this boat and pretend to drown. At which point, all these naked German men decided they'd save her because they didn't realize we were filming. All right, okay, so in this was filmed, no, actually, this is the studio, of course.
Yes.
But we actually filmed it on Lanzarote, a volcanic island. We had, what was the name? Oh, God, I've forgotten his name. You know, the sort of Peter Wingard.
Yes.
We had Peter Wingard in it, who you might see it if it's the last moments. He was a bit worried about his height, so he decided to wear clogs under his big flowing costume in the studio, and the soundmen couldn't understand where all this was coming from.
Yes.
See, now they're invested.
how did I do that?
Genius.
A bit slick, wasn't it? That?
Yeah, very slick. I was convinced.
Those are the days when I could get myself in that position. Now, if I got myself in that position, I'd never be able to get up.
You got down there and then held it for I don't know how long. So this, at the time, I realize this is chameleon on screen right now, but this story felt like a relatively final confrontation with the master. Was there a real sense of like wrapping up that rivalry since it was the end of your tenure?
We always wrapped it up, and he always came back. It was never really any question about it. We killed him many, many times, or appeared to. Chameleon, of course, was a leftover from the major disaster of the King's Demon, where somehow someone managed to convince John Nathan Turner that they could build a moving robot. Yeah. That it could walk into the studio. That's what he told me when we signed off. Of course, it never came even close to that.
Now we have Peter Wingard in the scene with his clogs.
Okay.
There's Peter Wingard.
That's Peter Wingard there.
On the right.
On the right.
And he's got his clogs on underneath that big long flame.
He took off that helmet with a lot of swagger.
He did.
Typical Mark, that was good.
Yes, that was not an easy line.
It seemed in watching the show like there was sometimes a bit of trickiness in maintaining the balance of how potentially untrustworthy Turlough was, but the Doctor continuing to have him on board.
He was always trying to kill me, theoretically, because of the Black Guardian. So
was it challenging to figure out how to play the balance of that to make it work?
Well, mostly the script writers just locked Turlough up at the beginning of the story and let him out towards the end. That's how we got around it. And then they were hoping at one point, maybe by this time, that people will have forgotten that he was trying to kill me and that he would be okay.
Still running away. If I were running away, I would hardly have asked for a rescue ship from Trial.
You tell him, Turlough.
It seemed like at this point you had taught a lot of your companions how to fly the TARDIS.
Automatic pilot, come on. That's very true. Yeah, it was that sort of varied quite a lot.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh.
Oh, look, so protective.
I was quite good at manhandling it.
Yeah.
What a great laugh.
Come on, this is a very serious moment.
Yes. Please, please.
Looks like I've just heard they've cast Colin Baker, doesn't it?
Nice
Gosh,
landing.
that TARDIS looks so battered, doesn't it? Really.
How careful did you have to be coming through those doors to not knock into it and make the whole thing wobble?
Always.
You're not exactly talking him out of it here, are you?
You can see how much she wants to go home.
And those 3 months would be filled with nothing but fun and excitement for Perry.
Just a nice
Nothing
little-
bad ever
Yeah.
happened to Perry again.
No. Just a little summer vacation. Wow.
I know Star Trek is also famous for its shaking the camera and making pretend that the ship is bouncing around.
Yeah.
How did you both enjoy the TARDIS is doing
Well,
crazy
what they
things and
did
we're hanging out for
mostly
dear life?
Mostly what they did, I don't think they did it there, was they would just simply tilt the camera. So did you ever have to do that? You just
Yeah.
they tilt the camera, so then you had
All
to
get
throw
that way.
yourself in the opposite direction. It wasn't so much sort of shudder, because these are great big whacking,
Yeah.
great big video cameras. So it was difficult to do the shudder. I think there was a sort of an editing effect, I would imagine, the thing they had there. But mostly it was tilt the camera, and then we all threw ourselves across the room as if the TARDIS had tilted over at 45 degrees.
I know there was at least one story. It might have been from Tom's era when the TARDIS did a tilt like that and the hat rack fell over, which I always thought, like, oh, someone went to the trouble to tie a string to the hat
Yes,
rack.
they
and
did.
pull it
Yeah,
over.
That's how they
absolutely.
would have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts or comments on
On
your first story in the show or what we saw before moving on to something else? No? Well, then, we can move on to something
yeah.
else.
I mean, it's been, I don't remember when I last saw
Well, it
that
was a
photo.
rare thing that we were because you started on our. Did you think we were going to be doing lots and lots of foreign filming when we started off in
But I
Lanzarote?
did have, in each of my years, I had foreign filming.
Well, that's
So
good.
you see-
That's good.
And as Janet pointed out, she said, how did you get a fresh costume every story? So I got
Well,
foreign.
there was only one of you, so you got this.
I got
the
the budget of
didn't have to
3.
go so far.
Yeah, exactly.
And my understanding is that when you did location filming, you would go there, that would get shot on film typically, and then all
Yeah.
the in-studio was video.
Yeah.
Did it follow one after the other? You would go do all the live action for a story and then immediately shoot the studio stuff for that same story? Or
Yeah, you
was
did
it
the studio
split?
stuff.
Okay.
So that the studio stuff was done after we'd been
Yeah.
to Lanzarote, wasn't it? Yeah.
So
Because
you
we
at
started
least-
off in Lanzarote.
Was the studio work always first, or did it vary depending on scheduling issues?
It varied, but I would say it was nearly always filming first and then the studio.
Yeah.
Because
And
anything you couldn't get on filming, you then have to sort of busk in the studio. You couldn't do it the other way around. You couldn't.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
And so in 2 Doctors, we ended up, and I don't know how, obviously he was extremely fast on the filming, Peter Moffat, and we were able to film extra scenes that had been allocated for studio. We thought, well, what scenes can we take from the studio and find a space to film them while we're there? So, or generally speaking, it was the filming first, because as Peter said, if you failed to get a shot in
Yeah.
filming, you try and find a way then to move that dialogue into a scene inside.
All right, well, the next thing I have on my list here is actually something of a more recent vintage that I think we'll mainly be hearing from you about, Nicola. We have the Eternal Mystery.
Oh.
Your recent
You probably not
Blu-ray
watched this one,
featurette.
Peter.
Oh, I'll enjoy this. Yes.
Ooh. I think they did a nice job. I was very cold again. It was so Doctor Who.
When was this done?
We filmed in Wales. Yeah. You might recognize it from other stories where they use the same church, and there's no heating.
So
No
much
heating.
like this.
Yeah. But at least I get boots.
This memorial is on limits of the dark. Explain yourself. Bryant.
Yay!
She's a bit tough.
Mightier, even than the king. But she ruled with both steel and compassion. And that she brought peace and prosperity to her people. Captain of the Palace Guard.
Was this a jobbing actor, or is this a Doctor Who fan who is co-starring with you here?
Oh no, he had done another episode that Pete McTighe had written, so
Oh.
he's
Fabulous.
I don't know the ending.
Oh, it's making me cry.
What was this related to? I mean, that's what I'm a bit confused by. It was just one standalone thing, was it?
It was a standalone, yeah,
Oh, right.
for the Blu-ray.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, yeah, I think, yes.
You know,
Then-
so-
And referencing how Perry left off in,
Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
in
And
the
Russell's very keen
Trial of
that
the Time Lord storyline.
everything references
Right.
now that Perry was with Yrcanos.
Right.
So I'm back to visit my husband's grave.
And as I recall hearing, and obviously you'd be the authority on this, Perry's departure was sort of reworked a little bit in the edit, yes?
Yes, I didn't see that rework. I was told about it. And it's funny because Colin and I have very different stories. If you ask us this question, we'd end up having an argument on stage, except we don't because he just speaks, so I don't. But inside I'm having an argument because just me upset. What I knew was that definitely this was going to be, Perry's end was going to be, she had this mind transplant, she gets her head shaved, she gets the mind removed, and it goes into, what's his name? What's his name?
Q?
Q.
Q.
So my mind is gone, and so she's dead, essentially. That's it. There's just the shell, the body, and that was it. And John Nathan Turner had said to me, how did you want to exit? And I said I wanted a big dramatic exit, you know. And so I thought I'd got what I'd asked for. Yay! Drama.
Killed off, yeah.
Yeah, drama. And I was happy to do that. And I didn't remotely think about any of you guys or any of that. You know. It's like, nah, let's just kill her off. Let's make it dramatic, bold. And for those who asked about Colin knowing about me being British, he was mean and evil that day. He had one of those little elfish twinkles in his eye. And as I did the bit with the head shaved, and I'd said, well, can I speak differently if I'm no longer Perry? And John Nathan Turner said, yeah, okay, just try something, we'll see. So, of course, I did it with the British accent and trying to sound, you know, different. And Colin afterwards went, Oh, Nicola. That was a very good British accent. And I was looking at him, except I couldn't raise my eyebrows because I wasn't supposed to with the thing on going, stop it. So, yes. So I was really happy with all of that. And then they got the letters of complaint. Lots of letters of complaint and phone lines, because you used to phone in all the time. You've just killed off Perry.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
How dare they?
my child is inconsolable and my husband is worse, you know. Those letters. And so they thought they'd just tweak it. But of course we'd filmed nothing. We'd done nothing. So what they did was some terrible photo of Brian Blessed and I, like some terrible wedding photo, a still with a heart shape around it. Like the worst Valentine's Day card you ever photoshopped. And then they get to ask this question, which they filmed afterwards. And what about Perry? Oh, well, she's gone off and married Yrcanos. Here's proof. Crappy picture. That was it.
And that's what went out.
Yeah.
Oh.
Playing off of
But that-
all of the really intense romantic chemistry that had been evidenced between you up until that point.
So yeah, that was weird. I mean, you can go back and you can go, all right, okay. As we were discussing earlier, you can take that cave scene and go, that was the beginning of the romance, and you can do all of that. And there are wonderful big finished CDs that answer all the questions and all that. But at the time, it was like, what have you done to the ending? Except I never saw it because I'd gone straight in to do another job, so I didn't see it when it came out. And then people started asking me about, you're married to Brian Blessed? And I was like,
Yeah, that's a very pertinent
that's
question.
a fate worse than death, you know. Now, Brian's lovely, but you know, it was a weird thing to do, to just completely negate it with a still photo with a fuzzy frame. It was very
Greetings from Torquay.
Yeah.
Well, we have one more thing to look at, and before it runs, I just want to say I think it's really fun. This is another thing that was done for charity, and I think it's really fun when they have an established actor play a scene with a fan, and get to have something that you get that kind of thing where it's like not even necessarily a real actor, but just someone who really loves it, getting to be in a scene with an actor they love. This is called Time Crash. Look at the ridiculous hair. Things don't change, do they? The TARDIS just shakes and wobbles and... Was David at all protective of his TARDIS console? Was he protective of his TARDIS console?
At one point, I pulled the lever, which I shouldn't have done, apparently. He said, oh, no, you can't touch that one. That one's something, I don't know what it did even. But so we had to do it again without me pulling this lever. I was just pressing every button I could see.
Not like you were going to break the prop, but it was going to do the wrong thing to the TARDIS.
Yes. In his head.
Yes. He's a bit of a fan. were they?
I know, it's shocking. It is.
You are such a good sport, sir.
I'm just thinking you're going to marry my daughter, you.
Ah, that's where the anger comes from. You tell him. when they approached you to be in that, did they try to explain the conceit of it at all, as opposed to just, we'll send you the script?
Oh, no. Well, funnily enough, I knew Stephen Moffat by that time because actually we weirdly shared a similar name. And we also had 2 boys each, so I knew him quite well. And he came down for lunch one weekend, and he just said, would you think about doing this? And I thought, yeah. Yeah, but so it was great. No, so he did explain to me basically that it was worked on 2 levels, you know. So it was great. It was a very, very good script. I mean, it's really brilliantly written script.
But given how short it is, and that they were working with the constraints of having to film this as a charity special with essentially volunteer labor and no budget, it's remarkably funny and entertaining, and just a nice, tight little piece.
I mean, we literally did it in effectively a morning, on Sunday morning, because we were. I was in a show in London, Spamalot, and they drove me down after the show, and we filmed it on the Sunday, and we finished I think about 2 or 3 o'clock. They'd allotted the whole time, but I think we both spoke so fast. I mean, David speaks really fast, and I do too. That we've done it really by halfway through the afternoon. So it was great.
I have to assume at some point early, as they're approaching you, they're like, you still have the costume, right?
Yeah, it was a bit tight. Yeah, which he made a joke of. This is good. Yeah, no, it was really fun. It always felt like his TARDIS, though. It never felt like, you know, people have said, did it feel like you're coming back to the TARDIS? Because it was, you know, it was when we did it, it was a set they wheeled in and out for the studio. That was a standing set in Cardiff, which makes all the difference. So it always felt like I was in his set, never that he was in mine or I was coming home or anything like that.
I think it's interesting that even though they've obviously allocated in series more space for a large, impressive standing set for the console room, in your era, we more frequently explored other parts of the TARDIS.
Yes.
Wandered the corridors and saw people's individual rooms and all of that.
They just moved the panels around the studio.
Well, I know we have only a couple minutes left. Was there anything from any of this that either of you had further thoughts on, or shall we just?
We have thoughts on.
Yeah, either. Just.
Well, no, it wasn't. I thought it was going to be quite painful. It was quite pleasant. It was.
Oh, good.
It was fun seeing the nonsensical dimensions in time. Was that what it was called?
Yes. That
well, from the absurd to the sublime. We traveled.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
Thank you both for your kind patience and your good humor in this. And before we let everybody go, I'm sure everyone's wanting to probably get some dinner. Next up in this room on main stage at 7 o'clock, Harrison Dyko is performing. If you've never seen them, they put on a heck of a show, amazing drum performance. Everyone is invited back here for that. But otherwise, by all means, get some food. There's more console room coming this evening. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you to both of you.
Signing. I think we're signing outside.
And more signing. Yeah, more signing happening out here in the corridor. Just give everyone a couple minutes to get back over there and set up. Thank you.